And this is our very casual early morning 10:30 voice actor panel. Now, at some point today, we're going to get another computer in. Nobody here seems to have an HDMI to USB-C cable for my MacBook Pro. So everything I brought script-wise is right here.
I have one.
You have one?
Yeah. Let's see if the Tron Lounge is open, but I have one.
Okay, well, let's give him a great big hand, yeah? Yes, Sean.
I was saying I'm going to help them do panel topping or whatever, saying like if anyone needed anything or fixing anything.
Oh, no, we're all good. Just your lovely presence would be great. I love the Pac-Man going after the little red cups. We'll assume that your mother got you that shirt.
Yeah.
Really?
She felt it was very appropriate for me. She got it a couple years ago.
It's encouraging bad behavior from your mom there. Does she know about MAGFest?
Yeah.
Did you bring mom to MAGFest?
She's been going since MAGFest.
Really? She's been here since 10. Your mom, that's right, yeah? Well, your mom's pretty cool. Keep her away from John St. John, though. Well, you got to be very careful. Loving someone to death could conceivably end in death. Yeah.
Think about loving someone to pieces.
So we do have a number of scripts here today that are from video games, actual video games, that we're going to get you guys to come up, and we'll have you grab one of the microphones. In fact, Sean, actually, could you do me one favor? Can you swap this mic with the one down there? Yes. Will that one work? It's got a switch on it? That's much better. Oh. Already we're at MAG Day 2 and the voice is slightly shaky. But that's only because last night at Voice of Palooza somebody had me do the Super Mutants as Agent Dale Cooper. That was a good time.
Just kill your, like, let's find something, just kill your voice.
My favorite thing though was Thelma and Louise, the scene from Thelma and Louise with Duke Nukem as Thelma, Shea Gora as Louise, and the truck driver, the lewd truck driver that they confront was played by Don Knotts, by this gentleman here. Mike Rawson does the best Don Knotts impression on the planet. Better at this point, I dare say, than Don Knotts. Yeah.
Well, he certainly can't do it anymore, can he?
That's really messed up, bro. I love it.
Well, I've been working on it a long time, you know.
I think that Barney Fife, however, lives on forever. But Mr. Furley is completely dead.
Test.
Much better. Thank you. This one here is the John St. John Balls of Steel microphone, so.
Careful, it's been deep throated.
Well.
No, dear.
That's why we use Purell here at MAGFest, isn't it? How many people brought their Purell to MAGFest? Very nice, very good. You've got to protect yourself at all times. So, what we're going to do, I think, while we're waiting for the computer equipment here, we'll tell you a little bit about who we are. Later on, we may be joined by Farad Muhammad, who was here last night, with Voice of Palooza. And we might be joined by John St. John a little bit later. It really depends on how great their Friday night was. So how are you guys doing? I mean, did you have a rough Friday night? Anybody? No? Everybody here was like, you know what? I've had enough. I know when to say when, and I'm going to fold it up and get ready for tomorrow. Notice how we're the few and the proud in here this morning.
I ran into a sobriety test. I commute on the way home. That was interesting.
Really? Oh, look at you. Oh my God, you are great. So if we can get tech ops and let them know they went looking for a computer, but we now have the HDMI and I can reinstall the laptop here. So my name is Wes Johnson, voiceover actor. I have a fairly varied career. I do things in video games. I've done about 50 different video game characters, a majority of which you probably haven't heard of or care to hear of. But a lot of them through Bethesda Softworks have turned out pretty well. I started off in the Elder Scrolls series with Morrowind. I was the gentleman who welcomed you off the boat. Ah, yes, we've been expecting you. Oh, here he is. Speaking of, ah, yes, we've been expecting you. Now, you know what? I think instead of putting this, may we borrow this later tonight at midnight?
Sure.
That would be lovely, lovely. We'll use this for right now, and later at midnight, that will come in awfully handy. I am grateful to you, sir. We'll get this going here. Whose was this? It's a MAGFest. A special MAGFest computer. So I loved working on Morrowind. It was a great one. Back in the day when Morrowind was going on, I actually sat in the studio with Todd Howard. Todd was the one who'd sit in the studio with us, give us voice direction. And I remember asking him about this character, the first one, which was the Breton. And I said, give me a little bit of an idea. And he said, well, they're very effete. They're magicians. They're not very physical. He showed me the one picture, which was of Sosia Sergala, who's bald, has a little goatee, and was based upon a guy who actually worked at Bethesda. Oh, John! My God, what time? Look at it. It's 10:40, ladies and gentlemen. John St. John. It's a Christmas miracle.
Saints be praised.
In September.
Hello.
Are you
Hi.
trying to reenact the photo so you can just be like...
Nah.
So what's that?
Not even hungover, thank you.
Oh. Well, you know what? He
Well, you're
brought
not
another
trying.
cable for the laptop.
I tried. Trust me, I tried.
Well,
Let's try it.
congratulations on failure.
Thank you. Sometimes it's good to fail. What are we talking about up here? Have you started?
We were just starting off and telling everybody who we were. Why don't you introduce yourself and we'll introduce Mike.
You guys know who I am?
No.
Everybody know who I am? Okay, cool, thanks.
That was
You know what
pretty
I do
quick.
it for a living.
Yeah, I talk for a living.
John, we know all the video game voices, but what other things do you do with your voice, sir?
Oh, wow, a lot of commercial stuff. That's where I make all of my money. You guys remember last year during the presidential campaign, Budweiser had a campaign called the Bud Light Party, Seth Rogen and Amy Schumer and all those commercials? I'm the voice guy on all of those things. Raise one to right now, the Bud Light Party. I'm that guy. I'm on car dealer ads coast to coast, so you hear
Which
me
are
selling.
beautiful. Car ads are beautiful.
Man, they never stop advertising. So, yeah, I have car dealers here in the Washington area, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, in almost every state. Right now, I'm all of the Honda dealers in Utah. Your Utah Honda dealers.
I was Hyundai for a long time.
I had to do one for the Korean market.
Really?
But I could not say Hyundai.
How do you say Hyundai?
Hyundai.
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 Very lovely.
That's how they say it anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, the funny thing is that what happens, the sad thing, is somewhere along the way, you've got this great gig going, and they change managers.
Oh, yeah.
And then the new managers come in, and they're like, I need to get my guy. That was your guy. I need my guy. And so I haven't done Hyundai voices in about 4 or 5 months. But the checks keep rolling in.
Gotta love them.
I
residuals,
love
baby.
the residual magic checks. That's the thing about voice acting. I mean, you know, you get involved in this and they will start paying you money the longer they run it. You know, they keep running,
Every
the more
13
money
weeks.
comes in. Every 13
weeks,
weeks.
they gotta pay you again.
The magic checks suddenly roll in. And we love magic. Do you love magic checks?
Yeah.
Magic checks are
Except
just
those
magic.
ones that come in for 15 cents. Like, why did they bother? Just save it up until at least the postage is covered, for God's sake. Do you remember? Any of you remember Gary Owens?
I do.
You're old enough to remember. Remember, he was on Laugh-In. He'd go, "Never put a snake in your neighbor's shower." He spoke like that. I grew up listening to him on Los Angeles radio. Well, Gary Owens passed away a few years ago. I had the chance to meet him. Nicest guy I've ever met. But you can always tell when a voice actor is getting too old because Gary Owens sounded like this: KMPC, the GO show, until his last ad campaign, which was for Kia.
Yeah.
And instead of going Kia, he was, "It's Kia." You could hear the old scratchiness to his voice. He went from this to this. And it was kind of sad. But Gary Owens was an amazing individual who, he was a hero and mentor of mine. When I met him, I fanboyed over him. And I met him once in like 2003 at the radio and television, what do you call it in Los Angeles? museum, whatever, arts and sciences. And I met him once. My buddy Shotgun Tom Kelly introduced me to him. And I was so impressed meeting him. I did an impression for him. I said, I do you. He said, I beg your pardon. I do an imitation of you. And he goes, that's about the best I've ever heard. And I was like, oh my God. And then I didn't see him for 4 or 5 years. I moved up to LA for a job up there, and I, by chance, ran into him at the Beverly Center one day shopping.
Yeah.
And he saw me and went, oh, John St. John. I couldn't believe it. He has a memory.
When someone that you admire suddenly calls your name out when they see you.
I peed myself a little bit.
Just a bit, huh?
Oh, yeah. That was cool.
You know, the worst reception I ever got for an impression was I was at the Super Bowl in '91, and you know how it is. Everybody are at these Super Bowls. You run into people everywhere, and I'm on an elevator, and it's just me and Andy Rooney.
Oh, cool.
And Andy Rooney is in the elevator, and he's sitting over next to me, and you can just see, you know, those big eyebrows sticking out and the smoldering eyes underneath the eyebrows. And I looked over to him, and I waited, and I thought, should I do anything? Just like, did you ever notice how annoying it is when people constantly do impressions of you? Why is that?
Did he flip you off?
There were like 4 floors we still had to go down. They were the longest 4 floors I've ever traveled in an elevator, as Andy Rooney slowly turned like a demon from hell and began to glare me down and immolate me with his eyes silently for all 4 floors. You know, I could feel my mouth sucking completely dry until finally we get there, the doors open. He took an extra couple seconds to just glare at me and walked slowly out of the elevator.
Ouch.
Yeah, but I think my impression was pretty dead on. And you know, I was under considerable pressure at that time, so
I can understand why he might be that way. I mean, there are a lot of fanboys who like to do Duke Nukem impressions.
Yeah.
And while I admire the fact that they do it, none of them sound right.
Right.
And so, you know, I always go, oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well,
you
yeah.
don't sound anything like me, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, well, I mean, how many people out there feel they have a good Duke Nukem impression?
None of you have balls of steel.
So there's a midway. It's not the kind of thing you do with John in the elevator?
Oh, but if we get stuck in an elevator at some point, man, for sure, do it. Yeah. And then I'll kick you in the nuts.
So you don't go for the silent, deadly treatment. You just go for the deadly treatment.
Talking about people who fart in the elevator?
Oh, no. Well, that's a great response to somebody doing an impression of you in an elevator. I said, I've got balls of steel, and then he melted them.
And then I got a ball tap.
So we also have Mike Ross in here. And Mike, why don't you introduce yourself?
again.
Tell us who you are, sir.
I'm not sure some days myself. However, I'm a voice actor as well and stand-up comedian. At one time, with a partner, we were known as the Video Pirates. I was Captain Cable, and my partner was Skinbeard the Sailor. And
Skinbeard.
your reminiscence about Gary Owens reminded me of one time I was this was after we had not done the act for a number of years, and I was driving along, and it was pledge time on WAMU, the NPR station, and Ed Walker was on with Robert Aubrey Davis. And
Ed Walker, classic. Anybody here ever heard of the Joy Boys? Ed Walker and Willard Scott were the Joy Boys of radio, and it was in D.C. in the early days. A very pioneering comedy duo.
Indeed.
And they were one of the, Willard Scott ended up going on and doing like weather on the Today Show and things of that
Wasn't he
sort.
like Bozo the Clown or
He was
something?
also, he was the first bozo.
He actually invented the Ronald McDonald
He did.
character.
Yeah.
And he was a bozo that they were syndicated in markets and areas. But so someone called in with a pledge and a challenge match, or a match challenge, and it was old Skinbeard, and he challenged any other pirates in the area to make a like donation, to match his donation. And Ed Walker said, "Oh, I remember the Video Pirates, Skinbeard and Captain Cable." And I had to almost pull over because I was so shocked that someone who I thought of as a giant in the
New Year's
industry
show, New Year's stuff.
remembered
Oh, yeah.
us. Oh my goodness! Yeah, hell yeah, that was cool. But so anyway, yeah, I started doing stand up with my old pal, and we, if I do say so myself, made a very big splash in the D.C. area among comics, and from that fell into voice acting for radio ads, and I actually had one TV ad back when I first started. It was for Dart Drug. I don't know if anyone remembers Dart Drug, but after my
The people who
campaign
got medicines from Dart Drug are all now dead, so they won't be here today.
Well, I was Dartman, and I lower prices so you don't have to, or something like that. I was basically doing Dudley Do-Right. And,
Were you proud of that commercial?
well, actually, I was proud of having achieved that, but the thing was that Dart Drug sunk into the ground very quickly after that, and I like to take credit for that.
Death by
myself.
Dart Man. Are there any commercials, John, that you've done over the years that you wish you would never hear of again, but would always seem to pop up, creep up?
They're those evergreens, those stupid local area commercials, and they're
Yeah.
running in San Diego that I recorded like 7-8 years ago.
Right.
And they paid me, $200 once for the read, and it's still on the air.
Right.
Yeah. But the most amazing one, and this is not an issue for me. I mean, I'm not angry about it, but I was a morning radio guy on Cape Cod back in the early 80s.
Beautiful place.
And, 2 months of the year anyway. The rest of the time, it's so freaking cold and awful that all you do is drink. So at the time I lived there, it had the highest alcoholism rate in the country.
Well, now it's heroin.
Heroin?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
On Cape Cod?
Opioids. Yeah, oh, yeah.
On Cape Cod?
Big time.
Oh, well, I know the alcoholism thing is now in
The alcoholism
Wisconsin.
is so passé.
Wisconsin. Man, all they do is drink there. But I recorded some commercials in the 80s that are still on the air on Cape Cod today.
What do you remember as maybe the worst one? I got one I want to throw at you guys and see what you think. It was
God. I think the worst one I ever did, though, was a TV spot that I did in San Diego for the Society for the Prevention of something about men, sperm. I can't even remember what that stood for, but it was a political ad of some type, not for along party lines about. I didn't even remember.
Did they
It's
play
fucking
Every
stupid,
Sperm
though.
is Sacred in the background? Was that the background music?
They should have. That would have been ideal.
There was a course study of a college of some kind you could degree get or something, one of those schools, and it was called Universal Tech Institute, UTI.
Oh, UTI,
And I wondered,
urinary tract
did no one
infection.
tell them? Did no one tell them?
Everybody was rushing to get into UTIs at that time.
They drink a lot of cranberry juice at UTI.
I wrote a jingle years and years ago that's
remember
still
that.
on the radio for Hadid Carpets. Whatever your rug or carpeting needs, just one name, Joe Hadid. And that's still on the air. We got a flat fee, a long time.
You
I wonder if that was
robbed
the
on that.
inspiration. I wonder if yours was the inspiration for 800-588-300 Empire.
That's the thing with me today. It used to be that when jingle writers they wrote music. Now,
Yeah.
you take the tagline and just stick some notes on it, and you got a jingle.
I got the best example of that. I don't think you have it out here. It's in California. In San Diego, there's an attorney firm called Salino and Barnes. Salino and Barnes, injury attorneys, 1-800-888-8888. God damn it, I wish their phone number was 777-7777.
How many people feel like doing harm to Cars for Kids?
Oh, my God.
I mean, I have to turn that off every time it comes on.
For what?
Cars for Kids.
I don't know that.
And it's sung by children.
Is that how it goes?
Oh, yeah.
It's just an annoying freaking jingle that never goes away.
And anybody out there? Anybody know that one? Do I want to sing it?
Don't know.
Well,
Give you a prize if you sing it.
I like it. There's one around here, long roofing. We put trust and peace of mind into every long roofing roof.
Is it a dog at the end, little dog?
And there's another. I don't know if it's the same company. They got the shingles ads. Have you
they've
seen
got the
that?
shingles.
No.
1 in 3 adults will get shingles in their lifetime.
I'm surprised they haven't made that innuendo because they're making all these shit jokes. Basically, they're saying, "Oh, that scared the shingles out of me," or "We got more cracks than a plumbers convention."
Right. And they make such bad things, and yet sometimes advertisers miss the obvious. Like for either Viagra or Cialis, either of them could have used that Three Dog Night song as their theme.
Right.
Easy to be hard.
Oh.
And yet it's so obvious, and yet nobody ever used it.
They used I Can See Clearly for eye commercials, so why not?
So why not Easy to be hard for Viagra?
And by the way, if Viagra doesn't work for you, just Cialis.
Oh, man.
I have got such a stiff neck today. You know why?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay.
So I did this one commercial years and years ago. I mean, I was like in my early 20s, and it was about a plumber. And they had, and the writing on this, I still to this day can't believe. I played, there's a guy walking down the beach, and he sees an old nasty commode that someone has thrown out on the beach. So what does he do? As everyone would do, he starts to rub it. And out comes the genie of the commode.
Oh, God.
I played the genie of the commode. And I'm thinking, all right, I made what, $50? That's great. I got $50. I ate for a night. And then the genie of the commode lived for so long. I'm listening to this, "Bling, hello, I am the genie of the commode," going for like, I thought when I died it would be on my tombstone, "Here lies the genie of the commode."
You know what? If they'd had any budget at all, they would have hired Shaquille O'Neal for that.
This was before Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, that was way back when.
Shaquille O'Neal was spending his time making money actually polishing commodes on the beach. So, yeah, there are things that you do when you're young folks that you just sometimes can't live down.
Surely none of you have any regrets.
None.
Now, you know what? Social media is like that these days. For us, just recording a commercial that we did when we were young and needed the money, it's like we're doing porn. It was very close when you get to the genie of the commode. But people these days put stuff on social media, like here at MAGFest, you have a party, you fall asleep, you get dork written across your forehead, you're in half a state of dress. The next thing you know, your future employers are looking at that while they're scanning your social media. Am I wrong?
No. I'm so glad social media has nothing to do with me getting jobs these days.
Well, it doesn't matter for you.
I'd be in trouble.
Yeah,
No, the more
You have to maintain that reputation,
absolutely
not live it down.
You have to cultivate it.
Yeah.
I got to post more puppy pics.
I love that the puppy pics you put up every time something political goes on. You put a puppy pic on. You might as well be the ASPCA right now.
Right. Every
You got
time
so many
Trump
puppy
does something
pics.
stupid, just to bite my tongue, I have to post a puppy pic.
Mm-hmm.
Usually an angry-looking puppy.
Well, no, sometimes it's a very sad puppy.
I do sad puppies too.
Yeah, sad puppies.
I like to randomly recall old character actors. And just
Yes,
put
you
up a
do.
picture, you know?
Yes, I see
Yeah.
your posts all the time, man. Hey, more Barney Fife though. Okay.
Barney Fife, he's
right.
good. I like, you like Dub Taylor. Remember Dub Taylor? Yeah, sure you do, son.
How many people out there remember Dub Taylor?
He's
Google
a grizzled
Dub Taylor.
old white-haired guy with
The
a big
last thing
round
I remember
face.
Dub Taylor being in was an animated character in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Wasn't he, along with Pat Buttram? Remember, they were the Bullets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
That's where you know Dub Taylor from.
And
Very unique quality
there's
to
a
his
guy,
voice.
Charles Lane, who has acted in more roles than any other person in history.
Why don't I know that name?
Well, because he always had bit parts, but you know his face. He was a kind of a scrawny little old man with big glasses and usually had an attitude, white hair, and he usually played like a stern boss or a mean old guy or
Yeah.
something like that. He lived to be 104. He
Wow.
only died, like 7 or 8 years ago. And he played more roles. He was in everything, everywhere you went. Oh, there's Charles Lane again,
So is he in the end up one of those people in the old actors' home?
I don't think so. I think he...
Are those still around?
I don't know. if
Old
they
actors'
if
homes?
they ever
Yeah, they have
actually-
Yeah, it's called Palm Springs.
So here we are, up here trading old war stories,
You guys are going, what the hell are
talking
they
about
talking
actors
about?
you've never heard of.
Yeah.
But
Radio.
a radio, yeah. Seriously, it's that thing in your car that sometimes
Sucks.
comes on when you're unplugging your iPod.
Yeah.
But we have voice actor heroes ourselves. I think I can speak for all three of us that like we just lost June Foray not long ago.
Yeah.
She was like the most famous.
She was the
Voice
Mel
actor.
Blanc of female voice
She was.
actors.
She really
you
was.
know? Or you could say that Mel Blanc was the male June Foray.
Yep.
Yeah, but y'all remember June Foray? Yeah. I mean, all you have to say is Rocky the Flying Squirrel, right? Yeah, and June was wonderful. She
Million
lived
other things,
forever. You know, she was on Richard Nixon's blacklist.
Why?
on her
Oh, 'cause she was
enemies
part of that
list.
crew?
She
'Cause they
did
were
something, or well, no, but she said and did some things that were sort of like campaigning against him.
Oh, dear.
And he immediately, she for like 10 years in a row got audited. He kind of made her life a living hell. And if you look at June Foray, just the sweetest little lady, you know, it's like, shame on you, Dick
And
Nixon.
as good an American as you'll find.
Well, it's nice to know that kind of thing doesn't happen so much today.
Oh, yeah,
you
you're
can
right.
defend
That's a
yourself
good
on
thing.
social media, and you know nobody can really blacklist you like that anymore over your political opinions. I mean, we're all entitled.
Well, or
Political opinions are also
tongues may be firmly
You
in
can say
cheek.
anything you want. It's called the hell with everything these days.
Right?
So, yep, we're cynical. Anyway, getting into voice acting, how many of you out there have thought about that, of getting into voice acting or wanted to play with that? How many of you have actually done a little voice acting? Yeah? What kind of things have you done?
I've done some characters on a Dracula podcast for a friend of mine. I've invented some dwarven language. I've kind of acted out some dwarven stuff. Nothing like, no commissions and such yet, but I'm only just getting started.
Well, that's great. That's great. How about you, young lady?
Well, you know I do. Any of you that have been to MAGFest versus? I'm the one that's like, here's all the shit that you won. Yay. I also do this, I do.
And by the way, I've been at MAGFest Versus, and you are just giving away shit. So,
Pretty much, I'm right with Kai, and Kai does the little dance. He's like, we work as a team, yeah. And then I do a lot of stuff on Voice Acting Alliance behind the Voice Actors Casting Call Club, and I have my own little fandom group online called One Jitty Fandom. So it's for fun, but I want to learn more and get good at it. You know?
so Rex.
Yes.
Rex Anderson here is a voice actor. John, you know Rex. You guys met Rex?
How are
Yeah.
you, Rex?
Now, tell us a little bit about what you've done.
Well, I have sold my soul to the devil and worked on
That's always the first start.
it is.
Oh yeah, get off of voices.com, man. No, I've never been with them because they've been smarmy from the beginning. Voice 123 is still my
I
favorite.
just jumped on them this month.
Cool.
About 3 weeks in, still kind of feeling out how to make it work.
That's a cool thing. Voice123.com. If you go there, first of all, as a voice actor, you know your demo reels are your trading card. Basically gives people a little idea of who you are, what you do, and you can have a number of different voice acting reels. You can have one that's based on character. You can have one that's radio commercials, one for narration. What are the other kinds that you can have out there, John?
Narrations, trailers, character
Yeah.
voices, voice styles and samples. At least on Voice 123, I've got 5 different demos.
5 demos,
I try to
yeah.
cover everything I can, you know.
And you can get a free page on voice123.com, and if you're even remotely interested in voice acting, I say you do it. You go there because not only is it a great place to put your wares out there once you put a demo tape together, you can go there and listen to other actors and listen to their tapes and give you an idea of what a demo reel and an effective demo reel should sound like. For a lot of people, that's a big thing. Putting together a voice demo tape, you have no idea where to start. What should I do? How long should it be? Really, 10 to 15 seconds on any given thing is really too long, correct?
Yeah, the whole thing should run 60 seconds because the only person who ever wants to hear your demo all the way through is you. Nobody's entertained by your demo. So after 15, 16 seconds, they're pretty much done with it. So you have to front load it, very best stuff up front, and I try to do clips that are 10, 12 seconds long. So I have, 8 to 12 of them in a minute, and that's it.
Now, one of the best pieces of advice I heard about doing a character voice tape is do something that sounds closer to your own voice as your first thing, because it gives them a basis to go off of. When you come into a voice demo tape, I've actually heard people just going into the most outrageous voices and craziest things. I knew one person who made a fart sound to begin. And, if you're an executive sitting down listening to a tape and you hear a fart sound, that probably gets turned off and immediately thrown into the circular file. You want something to give them a base and an idea of who you are in your demo tape. And again, 5 seconds could be enough. 10 seconds could be enough. And then you can mix it up. But what people are listening for, and this is the most important thing, if you take anything out of this today, it's not the voices you make. It's not how funny a voice you can make or how great an impression you think you can do. It's the acting. It's the believability of that. If it sounds like you're putting on an accent, then that goes off the reel. If it sounds like you are that person, believably, legitimately, then that goes on the reel. Listen to yourself. Get a tape. Everybody has recorders on their smartphones anymore. You just start recording things. Record your voice. Get some things to read. People think it's very easy to do voice acting or to do commercials, but it's really not, because what you have to do is take a script that you've never seen before in your life, and you have to read this script out loud and make it sound like you just thought of it. It just came out of your mouth, and it's spontaneous, or there's passion behind it, or you believe it. And sometimes that's real acting, if you've seen some of the commercials that we've had to do in the past. Listen, I believed I was the genie of the commode for just a small period of time when doing it. If you play something, if you record something, set it aside. Come back to it a day or two later, and then listen to it fresh as if you didn't do it. And if you don't believe the guy on the tape, go back at it and try it again. Read things. If it sounds like you are reading, it's no good.
It's kind of a double-edged coin, too, though, because
Yeah.
the biggest talent you have to have as a voice actor is not what your voice sounds like or how you use it. It's having a great ear.
Yeah.
Because if you can't hear what you're supposed to do, if a director line reads for you and you can't read it the way they just did, loser. You have to have a great ear to be a voice actor to know how it's supposed to sound. So the best free advice you ever have.
WNBC.
Yeah, if you're an aspiring voice actor, what you do is when you're listening to the radio or watching TV, when the commercials come on, don't tune away. Start paying attention to them. Listen to the commercials that are on the air, and then imitate those. When you start reading like everybody else who's on, and you know what? You don't have to have a voice like this to do commercial work anymore, because those aren't the voices
don't want
getting
'em.
the jobs. Listen to the biggest advertisers in the world, for instance, Progressive, Geico, State Farm, Farmers Insurance, McDonald's. Every time you hear a McDonald's commercial, you don't hear an announcer going, "Right now at McDonald's, Big Macs." No, it's the guy next door going, "The Big Mac at McDonald's, now $2.99. It's your voice. It's your voice. It's the regular everyday guy. The jobs we're getting are very specialized niche kind of stuff. I only get hired to talk like this for the most part. My regular speaking voice is not what they want. I don't sound like the guy next door because even I don't hear it. But right now as I'm speaking, you probably go, "Hey, he sounds like a radio guy," right? But this is my regular speaking voice, so I don't get those
But you can do that.
roles.
I've heard you do that.
Yeah, I know, but I have a timbre to my voice that doesn't lend itself to the guy next door, your next door neighbor selling hamburgers.
But
at McDonald's.
but there are times that you pull back on that a lot.
I have to.
It's in there. It's in the mix.
But
it's
I know
part of who you
I know
are.
it's in my wheelhouse, and it's always this kind of that's what I do.
Well, it's Gary Owens. You want
Kinda.
to be your
I
inner
grew up
Gary
listening
Owens.
to him,
Yeah.
man. I think that's why my voice went that way.
And
Yeah.
timing is so important too in your tempo. You got to keep it peppy, but you don't want to be too fast. I found that for a long time I was doing radio commercials, 15 and 30-second spots, and you had to speed it up and do it, get it all in there. And then when I started doing the games, it was like, well, that was good. You can slow it down. You don't need to really rush through it,
Right.
because I was just like,
Yeah.
You know?
I was told that so many times early on is, dude, it's not a race. I said, well, it's a 30-second spot. They said, well, cut the copy if we need to.
Right,
Read it
right.
at a regular pace.
That's one way to get people to cut the copy. There have been many times that people send me radio copy, and I've got a couple little. I like to sometimes take clips of some of the things either I've said or if I'm editing somebody else. When people send something to me, and I had a guy who would take breaths, be like in between. So
Brenda Vaccaro.
Yeah. So
Brenda
I would
Vaccaro, remember that?
Yeah.
She did
yeah.
tampon commercials back in the day when they first came out, when they first started advertising.
And it sounded like they were smothering her with one.
There, yeah.
If you have a flow problem every month, maybe what you need is Tampax tampons. Oh, yeah.
I do
Yeah.
remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't have audio editing back then. You know, in the
I-
80s and 90s like they do now. They couldn't take her
Do you have
inhale
I have a
down.
nice Willard Scott air sucking. I've saved some of these along the way, but the best was this radio DJ who just couldn't. I mean, it's like the poor guy must have been on an oxygen machine. He was in an iron lung. The breaths he took. So I'd cut these things out. You know, when I'd put his spot on the air, man, it sounded like he was beautiful. But I'd cut all these out and I'd put them on a reel. I had one that went about 3 minutes long of just him. So eventually I put a nice bass beat underneath of it. Yeah, and it sounded super disgusting. And then there was another guy who was a dentist who had dental work that made it sound like a grasshopper click. And it was a little. So I took that reel and put it with the breathing reel and then the bass reel. And I mean, it's probably illegal to play anywhere. You know, but you know the things you do to amuse yourself. When I was looking at the long copy, and I'd be in there, and I don't know if the kids are watching at this early hour, but I said many bad words because I'm in the studio by myself, and I'm like, learn to time your and then I listened to it back later. I thought that is so ridiculous and over the top, and I cut it out and saved it. But I've gotten my boys have found this and listened to it and go, geez, Dad, you know, is this Blue Velvet? Are you trying to remake Blue Velvet audio only?
Wow.
Oh,
Sorry.
that was your wake-up call.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Oh, you naughty girl.
So, so we have an extra microphone sitting right up here. And before we get to some of this, we're going to put a couple scripts up here and let you guys take a couple shots at it.
Anybody want to read? Anybody want to show off?
Anybody here want to give it a try?
No attention whores like us? None of you or have that in you?
Okay, we got a couple.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were giving me a Carol Burnett over there with your ear. I didn't know what Well, we have a microphone up here. We're going to get a script, and we're going to see if where's our gentleman with tech back there? Are you? Yes, sir. Is there a way for us to get one of the microphones maybe stretched over here in between this table so they can look at the screen while we're doing this? Will that go far enough?
Check. What is shitty quality mic? Give him a good one. Here, give him a good one. If they're going to use a mic, give him a good one. Because this one sounds like I'm talking through a
That's
cardboard
what Mike
tube.
was
Yeah, it
on
does.
last night.
That's
I
why we
thought it
couldn't
was
hear you on the
yeah,
PA.
I couldn't hear me either. Oh, well, no big loss.
This is your conscience talking to you through a cardboard tube. I used to use this effect in the studio. Operator. As a production director in radio, when I had to, before we had, you know, electronic special effects and stuff, put my hands like this and go, gee, I wonder what I'm going to get my mom for Mother's Day. You're going to get her that really nice thing you saw in the store. Who's that? This is your conscience talking to you through a cardboard tube. I do that kind of stuff. Just put your hands around it like this, and you can sound like you're on a megaphone.
I
never
think-
did this technique before?
Mr. Whitmore.
Guys, let's start with a McDonald's ad. We're talking about ads. Before we get into video game stuff, I'd like to start with a McDonald's ad here. And this, you probably read this one, John. I'm sure.
I auditioned
You know,
for it, I'm sure.
you know, the thing is, I remember distinctly a Pizza Hut ad. They told me it was down between me and one other guy. And this is when we were at different agencies. So it wasn't like we were fighting, the agency was tossing.
Talking about like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, I got
remember
that
the
one.
dipper
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, I got that one.
It was you and me, and you ended up getting it. And I was like, they said it was between you and another. I said you didn't get it. I'm like, oh crap.
And then
I
you
said,
heard it?
But then then you put a thing up on social media saying I just got this, and I was like, well, I don't feel so bad that you got it. That's cool. If it was somebody else,
Can I just say? That was mean. I take it back.
Who's okay, Mark, why don't you stand up there? And this is an ad here. Remember, you're the every guy. I want you to go ahead and read everything. There's VO and Phil, but I want you to read it all. It's 30 seconds, and whenever you're ready, we're going to give it a dry run, and then we'll give you some suggestions.
This is going to be just like a real recording session. Take one, and if you don't get it right, we're going to tell you suck, and you're taking it again. Ready? And we're rolling on one.
You always have to be first in line. You got a smartphone back when everyone else's phone was just sort of clever. You're in before in is even in. And now you're determined to be the very first person to try what's new at McDonald's. Come rain or shine or rain. Be the first to try the new English pub burger at McDonald's. A 1/3 pound of Angus beef, hickory smoked bacon, white cheddar, and American cheese, grilled onions, steak sauce, and Dijon mustard on a pub-style bun. Unlimited taste for a limited time.
I like that he said the safe word during that.
Yeah.
I was just
Last night's safe word was white,
White
cheddar.
White cheddar, the safe word right in the middle of the ad. In America, everybody in America suddenly stops. Okay, that's cool, man. That's cool. Now, the first part of this, the first part of the VO, you're sort of a hip, clever guy. Okay, so it's sort of the what's the matter, guys? Man, everybody rushes to the bathroom at the same time together. Look at that, 5 guys at once. All right.
cocaine.
They're going to help each other aim.
You're a little off, little to the left, Johnny, little to the left. All right, so John, what do you think? Any suggestions for him on this first part? Just the first part, not the fill.
Well, I can't see the script, so
Okay, well,
I'm not
let's see.
sure.
Can you see this far?
Yeah.
There we go.
Anytime the words you, your, or yours come up in a script, you can't just say, it's like, think of the Geico ads. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. That's not how they say it. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance.
Oh, okay.
Here, just the slight inflection on you and yours, because you're talking to one person, not a million people. So anytime you see the word you, just a slight upward inflection, so I know you're talking to me.
Okay. All right.
And one of the things they said on this, to ask, looking for what you wanted, direction was a little bit of a comedic delivery. Okay?
Which doesn't mean a silly voice.
No.
It means in the way you read it. Not the
the
sound
timing.
of
Like
your
drawing
voice.
out the
Timing.
a little bit longer. Come rain
okay.
or shine or rain.
Yeah, like you have to search for that word. Because you didn't know what the next thing was going to be, so you pulled rain out of your ass again.
How many people have ever pulled rain out of their ass?
We all know how
After Taco
painful it can
Bell,
be.
I think, right?
Yeah, that's sort of a forced thing, but all right, go right ahead.
All right. You always have to be first in line. You got a smartphone back when everyone else's phone was just sort of clever. You're in before you're
Take
in,
2. We're rolling on 2.
You always have to be first in line.
Now stop 1 second.
Yes.
Who is this person you're talking about? You always have to be first in line. You got this person is always
You
the one who
always
gets
have to
first
be
thing.
first, and you're reading fast. You always have to be first in line. I'm talking about how fucking cool you are.
Okay. All right.
And look at those quotation marks around in.
And we're rolling on take 3.
You always have to be first in line. You got a smartphone back when everyone else's phone was just sort of clever. You are in before in is even in. And now you're determined to be the very first person to try what's new at McDonald's. Come rain or shine, or rain, fill the... Oh,
Okay,
I read the fill part.
That was better, actually. That was better.
You take direction very well.
Oh, thank you. That's what my girlfriend says, too.
Now, I'm going to give you a line reading on one line, and then I want you to use that on the rest of that early paragraph. You're in before in is even in. You see what I'm saying? That's the kind of feel I want for the whole spot.
You're so ahead of everything that you're in before in is even in.
Okay. All right, cool. You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
And we're rolling on 4.
You always have to be the first in line. You got a smartphone back when everyone else was just sort of clever. You're in before in is even in. And now you're determined to be the very first person to try what's new at McDonald's. Come rain or shine, or rain, be the first to try.
Oh, that's it. Okay. I want to hear more sarcasm in this read. Let me hear this. I want you to be, first of all, we're going to take it, we can pull it back, but I don't want you to be so sarcastic in this, okay?
You don't want it dripping?
Oh, I want it dripping, and then we'll pull it back. We'll dry it up a bit if we have to, but I want this dripping with sarcasm. Give it a go. More sarcasm than you think should be in there.
McDonald's, more sarcastic read, take 5.
You always have to be first in line. You got a smartphone back when everyone else's phone was just kind of clever. You're in before in is even in. Now you're determined to be the very first person to try what's new at McDonald's. Come rain or shine, or rain.
Not super sarcastic, but was that dripping with sarcasm?
I mean, as well as I can get for 10:30 in the morning.
I can relate to that.
So hang around Mark at before 10 in the morning, and he's going to be just a sweet angel. All right, John, any final thoughts on this?
I want a cheeseburger.
I'm going to ask you to read one more thing for me.
Yeah, of course.
I want you to read the fill this time.
Okay.
And I want you to make us hungry. If you don't make us hungry with this read, you're fired.
What if we're already hungry? I haven't had breakfast yet.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, make me hungry. It should be easy. And we're rolling on the fill. Take one.
Be the first to try the new English pub burger at McDonald's. A third pound of Angus beef, hickory smoked bacon, white cheddar, and American cheese. Grilled onions, steak sauce with a Dijon mustard spread on a pub-style bun. Unlimited taste for a limited time.
Where'd you get spread?
I felt like it needed to be spread to make you guys hungry.
I like that. A spread always makes me hungry in one way or another.
Now, I noticed that you just sort of ran right over white cheddar and then you just longingly read that American cheese. You're an American cheese guy, right?
Yeah.
White cheddar doesn't make you hungry?
It does, but American's where it's at.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the thing is, the guy's going to say, listen, mate, I like white cheddar. I need you to really give me the white cheddar, all right? And it's you look back at him and go, listen, white cheddar tastes like shit, buddy. I'm not selling your white cheddar. It doesn't matter. Everything to you is delicious. Everything about this. But
You have to sound like you're about to salivate over it.
I want it to sound like your pants are about to explode over it. Okay? Now give me this one more, and I want you to read this. I don't even care about the time at this point. I want you to read this like this is Ovulation City. Like you can think of nothing better in the world than eating McDonald's.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I've been there, like actually been there. So.
All right, so there we go.
All right, McDonald's fill, take 38.
Be the first to try the new English pub burger at McDonald's. A third pound of Angus beef, hickory smoked bacon, white cheddar, and American cheese. Grilled onions, steak sauce with a Dijon mustard spread on a pub-style bun. Unlimited taste for a limited time.
I like it.
All right, let's hear it from Mark.
All right. I got to wonder why they're putting an American cheese on an English pub burger.
It seems
A
wrong.
little strange,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's just wrong. But that's McDonald's.
It's McDonald's. It's got a Scottish name, too.
Because they
so-
had it lying around.
You know what people in England, what their favorite restaurants are?
What?
McDonald's, KFC, and Taco Bell. I know this from having been there because the food in England sucks. Anybody from England here? I'm just going to point at you and say your food sucks because they boil everything. But McDonald's, KFC, and Taco Bell in England tastes exactly like it does here. And, well, look at all us big fat asses who eat all that stuff all the time. You know, they're getting fatter in England now, I think.
Well, of course, everywhere in the world right now because we're pumping everything full of high fructose corn syrup.
Hamburgers have high fructose corn syrup?
Everything has
The
it.
buns, the burgers, everything.
Yeah,
The
they all
ketchup.
have it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I gave them up.
All right, guys, this one here is from Sonic Flat Melts, and what we're looking for, it's a young guy, but I'll take a young female as well. That
So will
sounds
I.
smooth and suave. The feel would be a guy hitting on a girl in a club, Rico Suave type, without the Rico Suave accent. Oh, he's already here, man. He's already here.
Swaggering.
All I had to
Confidence.
We had him at
Confidence,
Rico
baby.
Suave.
Oh, yeah. What's your name, young man?
Ninja Dave.
Ninja Dave, you've got swagger and confidence, baby, and I love your hair.
Thank you. I love yours.
All right. Mutual Admiration Society.
All right, we're going to have you do the entire script all the way through, okay?
All right. So from
Let
script
him-
VO, get romantical.
Does he get to
Script
pre-read it like we do?
Yeah.
Okay, read it real quick to yourself so you know.
That's good. I'll go.
Oh, you're good? You're a cold
Man,
reader?
he's so
Ooh,
ninja.
Confidence. Wow, confidence is high. Okay. All right. Take one.
Get romantical with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheese Steak Breakfast Flat Melts. It's love at first bite. Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheese Steak Breakfast Flat Melt. Feel all melty inside with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheese Steak Breakfast Flat Melt.
You are hired.
Yeah.
That was, man, for a first cold read, that was
beautiful.
really good.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. No, wait a minute.
Any notes for me?
Well,
Oh, yeah, don't put that down yet.
yeah. I really like what you did there.
All right.
I do feel that a couple times during this, you kind of rushed through it a little bit because you were trying to get to the end. You had it. Your characterization is dead on.
Okay.
But I want you to languish across some of these things. Now, the word flat melt is in here about 8 times. So you've got to try to find a way to say flat melt that sounds a little different, but doesn't sound like you're trying to make it a little different. Does that make sense to you guys?
It
Yeah,
do.
it does.
So take your time with this one now.
Okay.
I want everybody in here to want to run out and fuck a flat melt as soon as we're done.
Yeah, man, keep that swagger in it. That was awesome. And rolling on 2.
Get romantical with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melts. It's love at first bite. Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melt. Feel all melty inside with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melt.
That was too sexy.
Sexy baby. There is the oh, behave.
Now,
a lot of
that
words.
great, no. That read was terrific.
Okay.
And I want you not to lose any of what you just did.
Okay.
Choking on my flat melt
You're
up
going to
here.
lose some of what you just had.
I need you now. We're going to time this. It's got to be within 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
So don't lose any of your characterization, but you got to speed it up, and you've got to get it in under 30 seconds. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Whenever you're ready, go.
Get romantical with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melts. It's love at first bite. Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melt. Feel all melty inside with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melt.
You know, that was the best so far because
Yeah.
you didn't get into the whisper. You were in the natural timbre of your voice, which is really cool. You have a very nice,
Thank you.
you know, very sexy, man.
I
You
felt
got a
like
sexy
you were
read.
excited about these flat melts. And you know what was interesting? When you sped it up this time, you didn't have time to get hung up on the flat melt thing.
Yeah.
And it just came out a lot more naturally.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little hungry myself.
I
Is
think
this
that
something
was
you're
great.
interested in doing, by the way, voice acting?
Oh,
At all?
I have a voice acting company.
Oh, very good. No wonder.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's a ringer. We brought in a ringer today.
Well, speaking of a ringer, I would like to do a flat melt off since we've got Rex right here. Rex, why don't you jump up and Ninja Dave, you stay right there for a second. And we're going to do a flat melt off, and you guys get to vote on it. Now, Dave, you've done it 3 times, but you get to do it one more after this. And you guys get to vote who gets the audition. All right?
All right.
So this is Rex.
Rex on the flat melt, take 1, and we're rolling.
Get romantical with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melt. It's love at first bite. Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melt. Feel all melty inside with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Steak. Blech. Feel all melty inside with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melt.
Another professional. Okay. It's
All right, now give
clear
it
we
back
have
to
two
Dave.
professionals.
Now, that was Rex, guys. Keep an eye on him. Pass it back over to Dave. Dave, you got one more shot at this, man.
Man, that was really good.
Thank you. No,
Really
likewise.
good. Let's see here.
6 shots of espresso, man. Tell me about it.
Still 30.
He was waiting for the
Still,
And we're rolling on
still 30
2.
seconds.
This,
Or?
oh, yeah, and within that time, you actually were at about 21 seconds last time, so you can breathe it out just a little bit. And just to let you know, that quiet moment, that's a thing in when you're doing advertising or you're doing video games. You do a read, and then they're like, hold on 1 second, please.
Yeah, and they're talking behind the
Yeah,
glass.
you see
can't
them over
hear
there,
them.
just
and one of
lips
them
moving.
laughs.
Uh-huh.
And you're wondering what the hell they're
My
saying.
favorite part is when they're looking at each other talking like this, and they they look over at you, and then they look back and start talking to each other again.
It's the worst feeling, man. It's just terrible.
All right.
When you are ready, Ninja Dave. Oh, there we go.
I gotta do it without the copy.
Get romantical with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melts. It's love at first bite. Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melt. Feel all melty inside with Sonic's new Monterey Steak Breakfast Flat Melt and Roasted Pepper Cheesesteak Breakfast Flat Melt.
Sonic, where serial killers eat. All right, guys, turn around here to the crowd. Now, crowd, you are going to decide who's going to get this job. By applause and cheers, who thinks that Rex gets the job?
Thank God, I need the money.
And by same measuring, who thinks that Ninja Dave gets the job?
I call it a tie. I don't know about you, but it sounded the same up here.
They're very good. Well, I do think that Dave's was a little more murdery. We're looking for sort of romantic and kind of stabby. If you can give me something in between there.
Stabby.
All right, now, guys, set the microphone there. Thank you very much. Now, how many of you out there would like to work with a little character voice? Little character voice. All right, young lady, step on up here. Let us find what we're going to pull up for you. All right. These are video game scripts, and you probably recognize them. These are from the Elder Scrolls. And as you can see, there's a prompt on each one. That is the line that's given to you to say the line you're going to say. And if you look over to the emo, they're only giving you like an N50, which tells us actually nothing. The quest is the Bard's College. It's Poetic Eddie Bard topic. So we're just going to start with one. And we're going to do it line by line, and we're going to take it through the first 5 lines. So you give me the line, 1 1000, 2 1000, then give me the next line. And we're going to do that all the way through 5, and then we'll come back and we'll see where we are. Sound good, guys?
All right. Just
Okay.
one take of each, right?
What's that?
One take of each?
One take of each,
All right.
yes.
I do. I've been working on mine for a while now. I suppose Gerard sent you for it? I was still trying to get the wording right, but here it is. Here you are. Always good to see a fellow bard. Tell Gerard I said hello. This is part of me. Guard it with your life. I've got it right here. Just don't read it. It's not very good.
Okay, now what do you think this person's doing here?
They're trying to get their verse out, basically,
Now
into
look
the
at the
main-
prompt line.
Okay.
Do you have a verse for the Poetic Edda? And these are all answers to the same line.
Yeah.
Okay? So from what you've read there, do you think that your poet is confident in her work?
It depends on the text. Some of them I see it, and some of them I don't. Mm-hmm. Like the fourth and
Exactly
the fifth
right.
one. Yeah.
It depends upon, gives you many different reactions to the same line, because when you've got yourself a role-playing game, you don't know what's going to come up. It tells you who the person is, depending upon the actions and reactions when you're doing the role-playing game. And so you have to give them any different reaction, but each one is not going to be the same. So as you go through this, I want you to put yourself in a small hovel. You're living in a small house. This guy has come a long way, ridden a horse perhaps, perhaps he's walked. We're not even going to get into fast travel. But he's made his way from a long way off. He's dusty, he's dirty. He's come to get something from you. You're either ready with it, this is your big chance, you've always had it, or you're not quite sure this is what you want to do, depending upon the line. However, you wouldn't just be saying this right out. You would be feeling something if somebody has come a long way to get a poem, to get your writing, to get a piece of you to take off to somewhere else that will be perhaps something that you've wanted to do your entire life. Okay? So what I want you to do, have you played Elder Scrolls?
I've played Persona. Insert tournament plug here.
Okay. Well, this would be a little more, it's basically real life. I want you to feel like you are in this home. I want you to feel your home around you. I want to feel you to feel the chairs, the fire in the fireplace, you know, the old salt tack that you've been eating, the water, whatever animals are outside, whether it's cold, wet, rainy when this guy has shown up. You have to create your entire environment for yourself, and then you have to live in it. So close your eyes for a second. Imagine those things around you. Imagine yourself wearing the garb of the day. Are you well dressed? Are you poorly dressed? Who are you? Think of who that person is. And when you feel that you are in the skin of that person, I want you to come back and do one line at a time, and I don't want you to rush it. Don't rush the read. Live each line.
I do. I've been working on mine for a while now. I suppose Gerard sent you for it. I was still trying to get the wording right, but here it is. Oh, here you are. Always good to see a fellow bard. Tell Gerard I said hello. This is part of me. Guard it with your life. I've got it right here. Just don't read it. It's not very good.
That was much better. That was much better. Do you feel that difference there, John, or do you have any suggestions?
There's one trap that a lot of us get into every once in a while, and you're doing it right now. That's a lot of the inflections, a lot of the lines are, you're inflecting the same way. You know, na-na-na, na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na. That's got to change up every time. That's the only thing I'd say. But your acting's fine. But you have to change those up and down inflections to not be the same on each one.
What about you, Mike?
What do you think?
I thought it was pretty darn good, but I concur with your opinion, Professor.
We're in concurrence.
The thing is, you're going from line to line so quickly. I want you to take a little more of a beat between them. Now, what was great was when you started off in the first couple lines, I could really feel who you were.
Okay.
And as you started going through the rest of the lines, I felt it there, but I also felt you speeding up. I felt you being a little nervous. Forget everybody in this room. Forget everybody in this room. And each line...
She convinced you that the character was slightly nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, and if the character is slightly nervous, but just pay attention to your rhythms and keep it very real. Here's the thing. You're not just acting, you're being. Or you're reacting to what that line is, okay? Let's try it again with what John was saying.
I do. I've been working on mine for a while now. I suppose Gerard sent you for it. I was still trying to get the wording right, but here it is. Here you are. Always good to see a fellow bard. Tell Gerard I said hello. This is part of me. Guard it with your life. I've got it right here. Just don't read it. It's not very good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Much
very
better.
nice.
They changed up quite a bit that time.
Well, guys, I would love to do much more, but they're telling us that we have to leave.
Sorry.
They're throwing us out.
So, but did any of you, listening to that, I think the advice that we gave her as far as character reads, it's all very true. Find your environment. Who are you? I don't know who Gerard meant, what he meant to you. Was he an old lover, a friend, someone that you just admired from afar? I would have liked to have felt a little bit of that. There's so many little things that you can create within your character that are not on the page, but that's what will bring a character to life, and that's your job. When you're doing character work, your job is to bring life to these words that the devs and the writers have put together and made. They could have anybody come in and read it, and it make it sound reedy, and it would be terrible. There are games aplenty with that. But if you want, there are characters that stand out sometimes, and that's for a reason. It's because they've created life in that character, you believe that character, and you become immersed. And in a role-playing game, that's vital. If you can play a game and you get lost in that world and in that life, that is because you have people who believed, who created the story, who became those characters for you. And each and every one of you can do that. But I'm going to say once again, get your recording devices, Okay? Tape things, listen to them back. You'll hear these things we said to you here today, okay? Go find scripts. Listen to radio commercials, as John said. Don't turn them off. Listen to them. When you're playing a game and you find characters that appeal to you, that draw you in, ask yourself why. What are they doing that makes you believe and like them? And if the opposite is true, what are they doing wrong? And go to voice123.com, listen to voice demos, and create your own tapes. Really appreciate seeing each and every one of you here today. We're so glad to have you, and we hope to see you the rest of the way. There's going to be a little cooking demonstration here. The Iron Chef competition will be in this room. Yes, sir. How are you?
You're back. I'm back. Come up here and
Everybody
hug
give
me.
a big round of applause to Adam.
Are you recording? I'm not even going to ask. I'm just thrilled that you're back.
Yeah. Adam, why don't you grab a mic and tell these folks what you're about to do here?
Gamer Iron Chef.
Yeah.
Gamer Iron Chef.
I have to ask because of the patch, is MAGFest a donut, yes or no?
What's that?
I don't know what you're talking about. Are you kidding me? This is King Donut, which just happens to be a fictional character that might or might not have to do with MAGFest in January. That's all I can say. I can neither confirm nor deny Donut. Yeah, coming up next is Gamer Iron Chef. How many people have never seen Gamer Iron Chef? Okay, to put it in a nutshell, this is if you crammed maybe 12 people in your college dorm because you decided to cook a feast, because we all know that colleges' cafeterias suck. And you only have a foreman, a microwave, and probably a blender. And you have to make some good shit and get fucked up at the same time. So yeah, that's coming up next. We're gonna have 3 teams of 3 people. We're gonna have lots of really cool judges. There's gonna be a lot of shit talking, a lot of drinking.
Can have one asshole judge.
Yep. Yeah.
And by the way, eating some of the stuff that will be created here today will also help you to a good shit.
Yeah. Get good shit's guaranteed. Well, that or your body just straight up rejects whatever they're gonna create. I can't.
I'm gonna sample, but I have an eater assisting me.
Oh, good.
I'm going to have an eater as well. Mike's going to be my eater.
Oh, hell
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so any questions?
Do I have 10 minutes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got
To create space?
Yeah. It's supposed to, but there's 20 minutes. Yeah.
20 minutes. All right. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get coffee, man.
Well, everybody, let's hear it for John St. John. Thank you, man.
Give it up for Mike Rawson. Keep it going, Wes Johnson. Also, if you don't know, because you might have
I'll bring
said to
Mike
yourself,
with us. We'll head
"This I don't know about this panel." Sunday morning, we're doing silly songs with Mike Rawson, and
cool.
if you've never seen him play and do his thing, it's fucking phenomenal. Also, it's audience participation, so if you got like a song that you can talk shit about someone and it sounds kind of nicer because you're singing it, you could probably come do that too.
Yeah, any variation of the old nanny, nanny, nanny.
You can mix up songs, if you want to get up here and go, fuck yourself, go fuck yourself, baby.
Yeah, that's what it's about.